Welcome to Staying Uncomfortable. My name is Kyvin. In this episode, I sit down with the CEO of Dreampop, David Greenfeld. David was on a mission to start a company which was all about popsicle. From leaving his investment banking job to starting a company in selling popsicles, everybody thought David was crazy. But besides what everybody else opinions, besides what everybody else thought about David, he was on a mission to create his dream business, to create his dream, create his legacy. And that's what you're gonna learn in this business. It's all about mindset from David. So I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you understand how important it is to have the right mindset in order for you to be successful. Remember, as David says, anything is popsicle.
So you're an entrepreneur, you were in investment banking before. How did you get to where you are today in your journey?
Yeah, it's been quite a road, but it actually will start out in high school. The first business I ever launched was a sunglasses company. It was similar to a one-for-one model. Oddly enough, I was buying materials in India, and I was shipping them to Shenzhen and pressing them into sunglasses. And I didn't know at all what I was doing. I went on Alibaba.com and found a number of different manufacturers and just started teaching myself. I think a lot of people in entrepreneurship, they just do. And a lot of the most successful entrepreneurs out there, there's no roadmap. There's not, what successful person do you know that picked up 100 entrepreneurial books and then taught themselves how to do it? It's just based on pure action. So that business failed, but learned a ton of lessons about how to start a business in high school and got really passionate about that. I had a little musical stint where I was actually a hip-hop rapper. I launched 3 albums. I performed in front of my entire college, so it was a serious...
How was that experience? Tell me a little bit more about that.
I look back on that, and as funny as it is, we mentioned earlier, things come full circle. And so I took that and I had created what was called Lifestyle, which is, it was I created a lifestyle behind lifestyle. And so we did album artwork, developed these full-length albums with stories and, talking about my life growing up and doing whatnot, and even just getting on stage and performing in front of people. And that creative process is what I love more than anything. And so I look back on, the development of music, and I think some of the most successful entrepreneurs now are hip-hop artists and what it takes to stand out and build that legacy for themselves. So. So then after that stint in the hip hop realm, learned a lot about cold emailing people and getting on stage. And what's interesting is you look at some successful brands that now collaborations are everything, right? Look at some of the artists that come up, they collaborate with the Jays and the Kanyes and whomever it may be to get their start. And those collaborations are really moving now into even consumer products and consumer brands. So so there's, and on top of that, really realized in college after doing a lot of the music and looking for some structure, that kind of led me to want to pursue investment banking. I went to the business school at Haas at Berkeley, learned a ton, was surrounded by a lot of really motivated people, and felt that I needed some structure. I needed to understand how to deconstruct a business from the top down, how to get in Excel and learn how to model a business, how to raise capital, how to look at a P&L. And that tool was so essential in getting me to kind of where I am now. I think so many people out there who want to build startups, they just lack the proper foundation, the ability to understand what it takes to actually project out your revenues and your cash flow, how cash is oxygen, how to generate revenue and actually have a bottom line versus just, I have a cool product, I can be the next, X number of successful entrepreneur. So.
Well, it takes a lot to kind of, based on what your journey, how you got to where you are. And I personally think that taking those risks and actually implementing on those things, right, it makes a huge difference where there's a lot of people who talk about hey, I want to start this or I want to do this, but you are actually doing it and you created something which is, I personally think it's fucking amazing. Because it's when you look at it and you're man, why didn't I think of this? It's so simple, yet it's so clean. And I'm gonna let you kind of explain our audiences is what Dream Pops is and how you came about naming the product and company, and what kind of really inspired you to build this, right? So like, you know that I have a business which is in a grooming category, right? It comes from very personal frustration. But I'm assuming somewhat here is personal connection to food or what you're doing with Dream Pops. If for everybody that doesn't know what Dream Pop is, can we get an example of a Dream Pop? So
Nice catch.
thank you. This is what Dream Pops is, right?
Yes, so it's a superfood ice cream. We leverage proprietary technology, 3D printing, and plant-based ingredients to rethink and reinvent ice cream. So as a kid, loved my fair share of ice creams, whether they were Dippin' Dots, Ben & Jerry's, Baskin Robbins, you name it. I was probably every other day eating ice cream nonstop. And so where does my personal inspiration come from? First off, I have the biggest sweet tooth on the planet, so that's one. As a banker, it would be 2, 3, 4 a.m., and I'd have ice cream, by the truckloads shipped to me via Postmates or whatever it was. And, it was terrible for my body and awful for me in general. So that was one. Two, I actually, as a banker, I had the opportunity to move to Milan for 2 years, where I was living and where I was exposed to a ton of food innovation in Europe. Some of the most inspiring and unique products oftentimes come out of Europe. And when I was in Milan, I just saw whether it was innovative ice cream, pastas, coffees, various types of CPG products that oftentimes come here. And I was lucky enough to meet my partner, David Marks, who invented this product. He's actually from Berlin. Back to where it even started, I was traveling. I was in South America with a few of my friends. I was in Cartagena, Colombia. And on every corner, I saw these branded paletas, these popsicle shops. And that started to get my mind going on, okay, the popsicle category is tired. Hasn't been a lot of innovation in that specifically. I've seen this pressed juice craze, these juiceries everywhere, pressed juice served here. And I started to think, I wonder if someone could take that model and apply that to popsicles, ice cream confections, sweets. And so started doing that research actually when I was still back in LA. And then when I moved to Milan, I came across David Marks in a blog and actually sent him like 10 cold emails, called the guy nonstop. I just saw the beauty of this product on a really odd German blog. And he finally picks up the phone and is like, what the hell do you want?
So sorry, I don't mean to interrupt at all, but that is called going after what you want, right? If you would have just emailed him once and said, wait man, this guy never got back to me, and it would have just ended there. But it calls consistency and it calls continuously going after what you want. And I think that's one of the things that I think a lot of entrepreneurs or somewhat people want to be called entrepreneur, I think do lack is once they get rejection or once they get rejected, they don't know how to come back up. But here you just emailed, call, and just kept on going.
Dude, I think one of the most valuable assets we have right now is the cold email.
Yeah.
I mean, so many people, they let their ego stand in the way. The fact that we have the internet, you can hop on LinkedIn, cold email someone. You can, do a number of iterations on what their email address could be. You could call their phone, office. I mean, digital, you have to. How bad do you want something? Go out there
and I think in today's era, you can find a way to get in front of somebody if you really wanted to.
Of course.
100%.
Yes, 1,000%. And so finally he takes my call. I was just moving to Milan to do banking out there, and it seemed like an amazing opportunity. So I was out, stopped in Berlin on the way, went to his kitchen. I kid you not, it was in the outskirts of Berlin. It was just me out there. It was like, all right, let's see what happens. I could have been kidnapped. No, who knows? I walk into his kitchen. He shows me the process, what he's developed, the product. I tried it, and there's something in my gut. I kid you not, I was like, I have to do this. This is my calling, I have to go for it. So that's kind of where the inception happened. I convinced him, his dream, he had developed this product over a number of years in Berlin, and people weren't willing to pay a premium for a plant-based ice cream product. And he's like, business didn't work here, but my dream was to always bring this to California. And it was a bit of serendipity. I was just like, what are the odds? Some kid from Los Angeles shows up in Berlin to try this product, and convinced him to partner with me. His name was David. My name's David. Our third co-founder's name is David. So 3Ds, a 3D ice cream. You know, it was like a no-brainer.
What more? Like the signs are all on your side, right?
Yeah, but I will say, it wasn't like I just quit then and there. I did stay on as an investment banker for 2 years while my other co-founder, David Cohen, was launching the business and running it in LA. And I was managing the business and working on it while I was in Milan as an investment banker. Because as you know, like you can't just make the jump. You need to have proven metrics and, you know, back to reality. You need to pay your bills. You need to be financially independent before you're really ready to take that leap of faith.
No, so. I totally agree that, you know, but you need to be able to plan out somewhat. I agree. But did you write a business plan or anything?
You know, I put together slides. I've started a few businesses in the past and wrote the whole long business plan, and like, you know, I don't think that's necessary. I did build an extensive financial model. I put together like a 15-page deck on what the next 6 months, next 12-month strategy would be, continued to iterate. But I think basically what we did was we decided we were going to launch the business, and we planned a launch party in August of 16.
Okay.
And that launch party, first of all, I've never thrown a launch party. Like I was figuring it all out as we go.
You're a banker.
Yeah, I'm a banker, exactly. But also, you know, I took a lot of what I learned as a rapper and like a hip hop artist to kind of, I knew a little bit on like how to put together events and shows and whatnot. And so I'm like, we're gonna throw this launch party. We're gonna see what the product market fit is, how people react. Let's get some great content behind it. Had an amazing, film studio, Aether Films, did an incredible job. They brought the drone out and filmed the entire thing. And I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna like put myself out there, put this product out there and see what the world thinks. And, you know, much like yourself when you with Glider and with even this show, you create something and you just go for it and figure it out.
No, I love that. Love the story. How did you come up with the name though?
Dream Pops, yeah. So here's what's really why this product means so much to me on a personal level. We're taking something as insignificant as a popsicle and saying, look, you know, okay, we're not a pop business. We're not a popsicle business. We're taking something like a popsicle and showing others that, you know, regardless of what it is, the widget, you can take that and follow your dreams and pursue your dreams. The tagline is anything is popsicle. You know, that's where it comes back to. Follow your dreams, regardless, you know, if you put your passion into a product, no matter what it is, and you strategize and you iterate and you learn and you put yourself out there, then you can build a significant business or a real business.
You know, first of all, like I think what you're doing is definitely 110% very, very innovating. I think it takes a lot of guts to bring something like this out into the market. And being able to compete against the big boys, the Ben and Jerry, the Hilltops, all of these guys,
yeah.
Right? So I think, you know, when people see something like this, they instantly think that, oh my God, you're lucky because you found something like this. They don't realize the blood, the tears, and the sweat that you actually put in over the years, right?
Yeah.
So I want to transition a little bit more from a business side to a little bit of a personal side of your life as well. So, you know, I find myself a lot of times sometimes on cloud 9, and then I found myself in the corner and like asking myself, why the fuck am I doing this?
Yeah.
Or I'm crying in the corner and saying, what the hell is this am I doing, right?
Totally.
Your experience with entrepreneurship and with Dream Pops, like how's the roller coaster has been, you know, throughout your journey with Dream Pops?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what, when I told, you know, one of the top executives at my company that I was leaving to do a popsicle business and, you know, going down this route, I in many ways did feel, not that I was laughed out the door, but it's hard for a lot of people who come from such a different environment and background to understand the vision and understand what you're doing. It's easy to be written off. It's easy to, you know, there goes David with the popsicle business. You know,
if you think about it from the other side, right? It's
totally.
Like, this guy gonna leave investment banking and he's gonna go sell popsicles.
Yes. And going from sitting in the room with C-suite executives, putting together their, you know, working with their CFO, raising capital, selling businesses, and then having a popsicle cart and handing and selling out pops, you need to leave your ego at the door. And I will tell anyone who's going into business, I don't care what you're selling, you have to leave your ego at the door. I would have guys I would work with, ex-colleagues, like, oh, so this is what you're up to, huh? Cool. And you know what? I just see that they're projecting their insecurities on you. And if this is what makes me happy and I see something behind it, then I'm not going to let society or people I work with dictate what my future. That was kind of where I was sitting in my office one day in Milan working, and I was looking at the clock, feeling like unhealthy and terrible, and I just knew that that's not why I was put on this planet. So back to, and you also mentioned something interesting is, yeah, some days you feel like you're on cloud 9 building something that's really innovative and unique, but I'll tell you, when we were first launching and trying to lock in big clients, we build a big part of our backbone on these big brand partnerships. But before we got a big partnership with Casamigos or Patron or Bumble or Nike or Outdoor Voices or anyone that we were working with and that we do pop-ups with, this was still just an idea, and I would have to send out emails and put together decks, and I'd be sitting there, and I this was self-funded for until about a month ago, and I see money just being spent, and I was like just feeling terrible, like, oh my God, am I this crazy popsicle hustler? What the hell am I doing? I'm like nuts. So I think it's just managing that, taking a step back, and like you just continuing, realize it's a marathon.
Yeah.
So.
In your career, and especially from your personal life, how's this business has impacted your relationship with people, right? So you probably, your family, your parents, your brother, sister, your friends, right? Because you're so invested into this, and you're kind of putting certain people or zoning out certain people because this is your dream, this is your vision, and you were not going to let this die, right? So how's that impacted your relationship with like your surroundings?
Yeah, well, I think as a banker, I'm used to kind of being that asshole who kind of rejects everyone else and focuses on themselves. I'm just kidding. But it's interesting. I do oftentimes, I'm sure you can relate, when you're building something, you get hyper obsessed. And I'm sure some of my closest friends are sick and tired of hearing me talk about ice cream. Luckily, it's a fun product.
But I'm sure they probably get free ice cream anytime they want.
Of course. Right now, I don't. It's tough to be in like a serious relationship because my wife is sitting on the table. But at the end of the day, I think when you love something and you're passionate about it, you got to put it as the number one most important thing in your life until the business is sustainable and you can kind of focus on others. My family is incredibly supportive. That's another thing that I'm really lucky with. I have friends who want to start businesses whose parents are like, well, you got the great private equity job, or we're so proud of you. You're doing great things. Like, why would you want to do something so risky? And I think that's risky, personally.
I'm sure you and I both have a couple of friends that love what they do, if it's corporate or whatever it might be,
Yeah.
but they're so comfortable with what they have, and it's hard for them to see what we're trying to do. Have you run into any of those type of experiments or experiences with your friends where you're like, are you like, you question, and you're like, you question your friendship, and you're like, really, like, you don't get what I'm doing? And
oh yeah, I mean, dude, just in the first 6 to 12 months, even now, and I initially was offended because I would have people I used to be in finance with who'd be like, so is this popsicle thing, like, is that a passion project? Is that your like everyday thing? Like, what are you doing, man? And initially I'd be like defensive. I'd be like, fuck you, like, you're an asshole, like, you don't understand, blah blah. Now as I said, I think I mentioned this before, I think a lot of people, when they get defensive and they see something that they're not doing, it's easier to just project your insecurity on someone. So like, if we all function with pattern recognition, and we're all conditioned in society to like get a career, be financially independent, get married, have kids, send your kids to private school, provide them with amazing opportunities. And so when someone breaks that pattern, like you or I, insecurity, projected fear, defensive mechanisms kick in.
do you know why the template is being accepted for so long by so many people? Because I literally think of that as a template, right? It's like, you go to school, you go to college, you get a good job, and you go get a corporate job, and that is what you're supposed to do. But then there are people that really want to do certain things, but they're so scared. Any insight from your life and your journey experience that you kind of have anything on that? Like, why do certain people just follow the template? or settle for mediocrity.
Yeah.
But they want to achieve greatness. They want to talk greatness. They want to achieve greatness, but they're not willing to put in the work.
No, and you have to have the nights. I mean, dude, I had my nights where I was like, we weren't getting the big clients initially. Like we didn't know what the business model was. I have a great story. We had a huge event with Gartner at their tech conference in Orlando, and we shipped out 700 units. And I got there the morning of, ready for this event, and all 700 units melted because somebody unplugged the freezer. And it was like that AR, the money that we were going to receive, was like going to help us, pay a number of bills and keep funding that liquidity and or having liquidity to keep the business going. And I was in a very dark spot. You got to handle these types of situations. So back to what you said, it's a lot easier to just collect a paycheck and be comfortable. But look at your show, man. Like I say, your comfort zone will kill you. So like if someone wants to opt in for the mediocrity and the comfortable life, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it.
But in general, I think our lives trend toward mediocrity unless you push. If you want something beyond that, you need to get really uncomfortable and push yourself. So.
Yeah. One thing that you mentioned that, when I've gone through a lot of dark times with Glider and just overall in life as well, and I'm sure you will have as well. What are certain things or what are certain tools that you've developed to kind of pull yourself out, right? Because I'm a big, I definitely preach this and say this a lot, is that you get yourself to that spot by you taking those action, and the only way you get out of those spots is by you taking the action to getting out of those spots, right?
Totally.
What does your foundation or structure look like when you do get into those dark moments in your thought process?
So how to kind of deal on a daily basis with them?
Yeah.
So one thing that I adopted that helped me actually a lot with leaving my job was I have a life coach that I speak to like for an hour every week, and that's every Sunday. Kai, amazing dude, shout out. Kai. We talk about, various aspects of personal life, professional life. He's given me a number of meditation practices that I do in the morning to kind of start the day and center, and that compounds over time. So yeah, a little bit of meditation, staying active, definitely like whether it be running, cycling, working out, etc., really important. And then those exercises once a week, when you analyze why are you doing something. I have one of my best friends, his name's Carl Siegel. He literally just did this exercise with me that I think is so profound. It's called like the 7 questions on why. And so you start with like, why did you start Glider? And then you then ask top down. You continue asking why to get to the root of like why you are doing what you're doing. And that is very helpful, those types of exercises, because back to with Dream Pops, why did I start Dream Pops? I started Dream Pops because I want to inspire other people to stick with their dreams and to follow their dreams. No matter what it is, whether it's business, creative, music, etc. So.
The why questions. A lot of time, I think I personally am a big believer of asking the why, because it definitely gives you the insight on what you're trying to accomplish as well. One question I do have, so how many flavors do you guys have for Dream Pops? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so we're launching with 4 SKUs. We've got, this one is the Berry Dreams. Okay. So it's a raspberry, strawberry, passion fruit. That one was a mango rosemary. Then we've got the coconut vanilla latte, which is my personal favorite, and the So Matcha Goodness, which is with matcha green tea. We also have a chocolate cayenne, a vanilla lavender, but 20 plus SKUs that will be launched over the next few years. So, yeah.
Are you excited?
I'm pumped.
You're
really
literally
pumped.
changing, you're literally innovating and changing the ice cream category as we speak here. And then you're sitting on this very comfy couch.
It's a great
and
couch,
I'm making you very
like
uncomfortable. so I'm excited, man. So is it the next 3 months or 4 months, 6 months plan is to continue to grow Dream Pops?
Yeah, so we built the business off of this experiential arm where we do custom activations, branded moments, and branded experiences for big brands. And that's built a platform for us and a community of people that we can kind of, share the wellness product that we've kind of created, take that to them and share that with them. And now we're really pumped because we're developing a website that's going to allow you, and some innovative packaging. You go on the site and you can customize your tray of 10 up to 50, and we ship it direct to your doorstep in 2 days with dry ice.
Wow, so literally people can order this on your website now, and then will be delivered to the doorsteps as well.
Yeah, so in February when we launch. So you go on the site, and similar to any subscription service, you can subscribe. You can just have it as a one-time purchase. Great gifting option, great wellness product. You take the tray and you can actually fit it perfectly into your freezer for your snack whenever you want that in-between snack.
Holy cow. So, David, one thing, if you were to tell somebody who's watching this show, and I think people connect with stories. Somebody might be connecting to your story, somebody might connect to my story, and there are 323 million people out there in North America, right?
It's crazy.
And I don't even think 1% of people have heard about Dream Pops. And when we air this, and there's going to be so many people who are going to learn about this, and when you're telling this story and when they're watching this,
yeah,
what's one thing that you want them to take away from your journey, or what's one thing that you want to be able to empower them with?
That's a great question. I think it's less about just the self-promotion on Dream Pops. It really stems down to, it's in the name. It's that call to action. It's, if you want to, whatever the widget that it is. That's why I love the popsicle, because it's such a tired category. It's a popsicle. But I think we've been able to develop a lifestyle brand behind something as insignificant as a popsicle, which will then become a plant-based wellness platform. So that it's just a call to action. It's like, if you are obsessed with cookies, with wine, with shaving, grooming, whatever it may be, it's just my recommendation is just go, iterate, start.
Just take action.
Just start. Call. Like go send 100 cold emails. Make yourself uncomfortable. Go meet people who know what they're doing in the space. Learn from them, because oftentimes people do want to help you, and apply that to your own business.
Well, sir, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show, and anybody that comes on the show is definitely leaving a mark in this world, and I'd love for you to leave a mark on my beautiful wall that I have here with whatever you like.
Amazing.
But thank you so much for being on the show, man. I wish you best of luck, and I can't wait to see you conquer this category and dominate like nobody's business. So.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for having me. This is amazing. I love just connecting with people like yourself. So thanks for having me.
For sure.